Whether you've been looking for a job for a while or you just got started, I want to share with you my 10 best tips on what it takes to get hired for any job. I mean, if you've been looking for a while and you're here, you're probably struggling, and maybe you can't figure out why you haven't been hired yet, or maybe you just haven't found the right job, or maybe you're too picky. But you know what? You should be picky, because if you're planning to give half your waking hours to an employer, you better love what you do. But in the end, the whole job hunting process just takes time. I mean, half the jobs that you apply to are usually a waste because you never hear back from them. And the other half, you get interviews, but they're not interested. And somewhere in the middle, you find that perfect job. But you just have to sort through so many jobs to get there. I mean, it shouldn't even be called job hunting. It should be called job sorting. But anyways, let's get to the good stuff. But before I do, only a small percentage of people that watch my videos are subscribed. So if you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. So, number one, have a top-notch resume and cover letter. I mean, your resume and cover letter are your first chance to make a great impression. And you want to use action verbs on your resume to highlight your achievements and make sure everything is formatted neatly and professionally. Number two, apply for the right jobs. Don't waste your time applying for every job you see. Take the time to find the jobs that match your skills and experience. And, look for job postings that specifically mention the skills that you have. I've known people who go out and they apply to 500 jobs in a week, and then they come back to me and they're like, Don, nobody's hiring, nobody's interviewing me. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, I sent out 500 resumes. Well, they didn't send out 500 targeted resumes. They sent out 0 targeted resumes, and that's the thing. That's why you want to aim for just maybe 5 to 7 jobs a week, and make sure each one, your cover letter and your resume, are targeted for that job, and you'll go so much farther. Okay, let's move on here to number 3. Research the company. I mean, learn as much as you can about the company and the position that you're applying to. I mean, look for the company's information on their, their website, their values, their mission, their culture, and understand this, and then see if that's a place that you want to work. I mean, maybe you don't like what their values are or their culture, and that'll steer you away. But those are things that you want to understand, and this will help you tailor your resume and your cover letter to fit the company's needs. Number 4, network. Use all of your available resources to network and make connections. I mean, reach out to people in your industry and ask, if they know of any job openings. I mean, attend events, conferences, engage with people on social media. I mean, one of the things I like to do is, if there's a place that I was interested in working at, I might find one of my LinkedIn connections who is connected to somebody who works there. And the way you do that is, first you go to the company that you want to work at. Let's say it's just Google, and you go look up all the Google employees on LinkedIn, and then they will tell you, hey, so-and-so is a third connection of, one of your second connections, or a third connection of one of your first, or whatever. So then what you do is you go to your first connection and say, hey, I hear so-and-so at Google. Can you introduce me to them? And that's how you use your networking, because that's where all the jobs are. Most of the jobs are never posted on the job boards. So use your network. And if you're like me, you probably don't have a strong network, but you have one. If you have 20 people on LinkedIn, you have a network. Use them to your advantage. Okay, let's move on here to number 5. Practice for the interview, and prepare your interview by practicing your responses to common interview questions. Like, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? What interests you about this position? And, why would we want to hire you? Or what are you looking for in this job that you're not currently getting? So be prepared for questions like that. And actually, this little book here will help you with that. You can get this from jobinterviewtools.com/top10. It just covers some of the more common questions. And then research the company, the position, and be ready to ask intelligent questions about the job and the company. I mean, hey, this is what the best people do. This is how you get a job, anywhere. Next, dress appropriately. So make sure that you are dressed for the interview. And when you dress professionally, you're showing the employer that you're serious about the job. Now, some people ask, hey, should I shave? And some people, I shave all the time, but some guys, they might have a real scraggly beard. And if they go in for the interview, that may or may not tilt the interviewer one way or the other. But generally, I don't think so. But if you have a real, curly, messy beard, you might want to trim it down a little bit. You don't have to shave it off, but it's just, you want to look the part of where you're going. Because when you walk in there, you want them to say, hey, he looks like us or she looks like us. I mean, that's just the way, that's that human connection that we have. That's how we judge people in our mind. And as soon as we see somebody, we're like, oh, they look like us. They sound like us. They talk like us. Must be one of us. And then that just kind of helps the whole rapport cycle get the wheels turning on that. Okay, let's move on here to number 7. Arrive on time. Always be on time for your interview, whether it's virtual or it's in person. Being late makes a really bad impression, and you don't want to give excuses. Oh, well, there was traffic. Oh, there was rain. Oh, there was snow. I couldn't make it. Oh, I had to do this. Oh, I had to do that. That's too bad. You don't want to make excuses for the interview. I mean, now literally, if you're driving to the interview and you get in an accident or something, that's one thing. But you don't want to show up late for your interview and say, hey, I'm sorry, I had to do this or that. You got to be there. All right, let's move on here to number 8. Follow up, and I can't stress that enough. After the interview, send a thank you note to the interviewer. This will show them that you appreciate their time and you are still interested in the job, no matter where you are in the world, whether you're in the United States, you're in Australia, or in Great Britain. I mean, I know in some of the other countries they're like, oh no, we never send out thank you letters. Well, I've had several clients in Great Britain who have sent out a thank you note against their better judgment. They listened to me. They're like, hey, I'm going to try this Don thing, and you know what? They got the job. Their interviewer even told them, hey, I've never heard anybody, ask me that before or send me a thank you note. Yeah, sure, you can have the job. So send out a thank you note. It really goes deeper and it shows your appreciation for the job, the time, and it's a very respectful thing to do, no matter where you are in the country, okay, or the world. Let's move on here to number 9. Learn from rejection. Don't let rejections discourage you. Take the opportunity to learn from your experience and ask for feedback, from the employer. Now, a lot of times they might not give you feedback. You can always ask, but it's hard to say as to how honest they're going to be. But if you're in a position where you can ask, hey, usually if you didn't get the job, say, hey, what didn't you like about me, or what would have you liked to have seen, something like that. They're never going to be negative because they can get trouble for that. But what you want to do is kind of just reflect back on that so you can improve yourself for the next time. It's hard to fix something that when you don't know what's wrong. So getting any kind of feedback that you can, or just self-evaluating, will help you get closer to, fixing the problem that you might have. And sometimes, the problem really isn't even you. Sometimes it's just, you're a good fit for the job, but somebody else was just that much better. So nothing you can do about that. Okay, let's move on here to the last one, number 10. Be patient and persistent. I mean, getting hired is a process, and it's important to be patient, because when you keep applying for jobs, that match your skills and experience, and you keep networking, you're making all these connections, you got to remember that employers are dealing with a lot of other people and a lot of other candidates, and things just don't always move at the speed you think they're going to move at. They may even tell you, hey, we'll get back to you next week on that, and then they don't, and then maybe they get back to you in 2 or 3 weeks. And I get this call all the time from my clients. They're like, Don, they said they're going to get back to me by Friday, and they didn't. What should I do? I'm like, give them a call. But you got to remember, even if they say they plan to hire somebody by such and such date, they don't always, because to hire somebody, there's so many working parts to making that happen. They have to get approval from HR, they have to get approval from the hiring manager, they have to get approval from the president. All these people need to come together to sign off on that job for you. And it's hard to get all those people together, especially during holidays, during vacation season, anything like that. So be patient. And eventually, you're going to find the right job for you. So to recap the 10 smartest ways to get hired for any job, make sure you have a top-notch resume and cover letter. Apply to the right jobs. Research the company, network, practice for the interview, dress appropriately, arrive on time, follow up, learn from rejection, be patient and persistent, and follow these tips, and you are going to be well on your way to landing your dream job. Now, before you go, I have a special gift for you. I just created this. This is my super cool interview checklist. And this is going to walk you through all the things that you need to do to ace your next interview. It's got, stage 1 of the job search. It's got resume writing. It's got preparation. It's got competency interview, closing the interview, salary negotiation tips. And then it has a whole sidebar here of other little notes and stuff that walk you through all the stages of the interview. Just little things that you might even want to write on your notes when you go into the interview, because you don't want to take this away. That would be ridiculous. And then on the back side here, it's even cool. It's not just a 1-page, it's a 2-page checklist loaded with tactics and strategies, all about interview fundamentals, avoiding interview anxiety, things employers want to hear you say, and things that you never want to do. So this, my friend, is yours. It is free. You can get it from jobinterviewtools.com/checklist. Just put in your name, email address, tell me where to send it. I will get this right out to you and, walk through this. This might take you some time to go through, but it also points to other resources that I have that it was information that I wanted to put on here, but I couldn't. So I have, an example here for a resume worksheet. You can download a worksheet. I have a resume guide that you can download. On the other side here, I have this one links to a video, 5 magic words to landing your dream job. Another one here, 5 things you don't want to put in your resume. So some of these linked videos are the resources. So this is the ultimate interview checklist. That's probably what I should call it. Not just interview checklist, the ultimate interview checklist. But anyways, it is yours. It is free. You can get it from jobinterviewtools.com/checklist. Just tell me where to send it. Get it right out to you. And that, my friend, is all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed these 10 tips to acing and passing any interview. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And if you want to get notified every time I release a new video, then subscribe. All right, my friend, we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.